Hey there, Prof. Aram here, and now that we know the concept of future value, in this video we're going to focus on the present value of money or discounting. So let's get to this. In the previous lectures, we saw that in the case of future values, we had a lump sum today, lump sum of cash today, and we wanted to find out the compounded value of the cash flows at some point in the future. However, there are several scenarios in finance in which a security or a project provides you with some cash inflows in the future, and you want to decide today whether to invest in that asset or not. When we talk about discounting, right? When we talk about discounting, we mean finding the present value of some future amount, some future cash flow. So what we do here is we're going to rearrange the formula that we have. But before that, let's think about the logic, right? Why is $1 today worth more than $1 from now? A year. So let's look at the logic first. We need to think about this interest rates as opportunity cost. Why is $1 today worth more than $1 a year from now? We know that if you have $1 today, you can do something with it to earn a return, meaning that you can, for example, put it in a bank and earn a positive return, which means that at the end of the year, you end up with more than $1. It also means that if you receive $1 a year from today, it must be worth less than $1 received today. But how much less? It all depends on the opportunity cost of that money. What opportunities are you giving up? What could you have done with that money if you didn't have to wait? That's why once you figure out the cost of waiting, you then punish the future cash flow by assessing a penalty that counts as the opportunity cost. We call that opportunity cost a discount rate. So we call this practice discounting. And this is just the opposite of compounding. In the compounding practice, you earn interest on interest. The interest comes on top of the interest that you had before. In discounting, you're subtracting interest from the future cash flows. So broadly speaking, when we talk about value of something or the price of something, we are all talking about the present value, unless we explicitly indicate that we are looking for future values. So whenever we say find the value of a bond or a stock or a project, what we mean is what is the present value of the cash flows for that asset. In order to find the present value, we start with the original formula for the future value, the compounding formula, and we are going to rearrange it to find the present value. So in this case, you have a lump sum in the future, which is your future value, and you're going to discount it using the discount rate and for how many periods in the future you're going to receive that cash flow. So we call this the future value factor. And the reciprocal of that, 1 over, is called a present value factor. So the present value factor is just a reciprocal of the future value factor that we saw before. So how do we do this? Say you want to determine the present value of $1,000 received a year from now, given a 5% interest. So your present value would be your future value, the money that is going to be received in the future, 1,000, divided by 1 plus the interest rate. Since this is a year from now, t is going to be 1, so that's why I didn't put it here. So if we discount $1,000 received a year from today at 5%, this will be the present value of that cash flow. Now, assume that the interest rate rises to 10%. Would the 1,000 a year from now be worth more or less than 928.38? Of course, if the interest rate is 10%, that means that your opportunity cost is higher. So you would punish that cash flow, that $1,000 that you will receive a year from today, more heavily. So the present value at 10% is going to be much smaller than this $952. And if the interest rate falls to 2%, now your opportunity cost is significantly lower. So you're not going to punish your future cash flow as hard as this 5%. So you're going to end up with a higher value. So in this case, at 10%, the present value would be $909. And at 2%, the present value would be $980. Of course, with a lower opportunity cost, the present value would be higher. With a higher opportunity cost, the present value would be lower. So you punish the future cash flows much more at 10% because your opportunity cost is higher compared to the 2% rate. So let's look at an example here. You found an investment that pays an 8% rate of return per year and promises to pay $10,000 in 4 years. How much are you willing to pay for this opportunity? In other words, what is the present value of this cash inflow that you will receive in 4 years? A lot of times it helps to look at the timeline and translate the problem in a timeline. So in this case, your N or your T would be 4 years, and your future value would be $10,000, and your interest rate or your rate of return or your discount rate is going to be %. In your financial calculator, this is IY. In your Excel, this is your rate. And then the question is asking, what is the present value? So to find this, we can use the formula 10,000 divided by 1.08 raised to the power of 4. So this should give you $7,350.30. And then using the financial calculator, we can do this. First of all, we need to clear the TVM function. So we have $10,000 that we're going to receive in the future. 4 years, 8% is our IY, and then you compute the present value, right, which is 7,350. And you can also go to Excel and let's just open a new tab. So in this case, we are solving for present value. So rate was 8%. Number of periods was 4. And we don't have any payments, so we leave it as empty. And then your future value was 10,000. And then we solve for the present value. And then if you recall, you can also go to formulas, and then you go to financial, and here you need to find PV. And for PV, your rate is still 8%. Number of periods is 4. No payment, and then future value is 10,000. And then you just click OK, and you get the same thing. So either you can just remember the formula, or if you don't remember it, just go to the financial and then look for PV. Okay. So I hope you find this video useful, and thank you for watching.